I told my boyfriend I wanted more attention. His reaction scared me. We've been together for 2 years now, and our anniversary was just over a week ago. However, we haven't gotten the chance to properly celebrate as we have both been really busy and I was out of the city on our actual anniversary. There are plans to celebrate it this weekend over a picnic, but even then, I told him not to worry about it if he or we're both still busy, which he appreciates. By the way, this comes from you, Worldly Basis 3139 on the OKstorytime subreddit. So, the reason I felt the need to come on here and write about it is the nature of our past arguments in the past couple of weeks. For example, the other day, I felt as if I was not getting enough affection for the amount of affection I was giving and said, "You're not affectionate towards me anymore," in a pouty way, as I just wanted to feel babied at the moment, not realizing the implications it had on his feelings. Sophia.
Not the best way to bring that up.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. Could have been brought up in a little bit more of like, hey, I've been noticing, you're kind of pulling back.
Yeah.
Is there,
Or even to own it
is
as
anything...
like, my need for affection isn't being met, and then make a request attached to a need and be like,
is there anything going on?
Yeah, curiosity. Or just like, can I receive more affection?
Can I get a little hug?
Give me a little smooch.
Is that how you ask, Sophia?
Can I get a little hug?
I will not hug that.
Give me a little hug.
No, I'm good.
Give me snuggle.
All right, so he got upset, which usually happens when you blame someone.
Yeah.
As he felt like I was accusing him of something really bad and that I was dismissing him talking to me as a way to be affectionate and to show love to me. He got very upset at this. I tried to explain to him that I did not do it as an attack towards him and that I grew up seeing couples do it around me and I was expecting to be babied and showered with affection as that is what I saw growing up. There are such... I'm sympathizing. Like, I'm not making OP wrong for this.
Yeah.
It's just not, like, functional communication.
No.
But, like, she's right. Like, we grow up in a culture of terrible models of what healthy and functional relationships look like. So the majority of people, we have to relearn what it means to relate to people in healthy ways. So to this, he thought that I was too influenced by internet couples. Is this a thing? Are people getting information about internet couples?
I mean, I can't say what OP's, doing, but I think that everyone just has different, like, ideas of how much affection you're supposed to,
For sure, yeah.
get in a relationship. Because I think I'm personally a very physically affectionate person.
You are?
Yeah. I would say so.
I didn't expect that.
I don't know. With the way you did that hugging thing.
We may hug.
Yeah. It seems like you're not used to expressing that.
No, I think I'm a very physically
good.
affectionate person.
Me too. Me too. All right. And yeah, everyone has different levels of what amount of affection feels good to them.
Some people like less physical touch, which is also okay. It's just communicating that.
Yeah. To this, he thought that I was too influenced by internet couples and people around me that I was trying to emulate other people's relationships with ours when I simply had no other intention but to ask for affection. He said I should just ask for it like a grown adult, to which I understood and I owned up to my mistake as I did not know that he saw it that way. I kept explaining to him that I was not trying to accuse him of anything or dismiss everything that he's done to me to show me affection in his way. I desperately explained that I understood that it is different for him and my obligation as a partner is to respect that and act accordingly. I explained that I can and will have the capability to change and that he is being heard. Despite this, he was still very upset and kept saying that I was accusing him. It seems like, from what I'm understanding the story, that OP, messed up.
Yeah.
He explained it and was upset, and OP, took responsibility and was like, "Yeah,
sorry,
I get it. I should have done something else." And then it seems like he's like still upset.
Yeah.
But also, we're not there for the conversation, so we don't know how it actually went. So I understand the situation as us being different individuals with different needs and different ways of reacting to things. And in this case, I've learned that I should have not said what I said, as it means something else to him, which I respect. I was so desperate to get him to understand that I never meant anything and that I am on his side, but to no avail. He started speaking really aggressively, and I got really overwhelmed and started crying, begging him to stop, but he kept talking over me. I was sobbing and pouring my heart out, but he just stared at me with an angry look on his face. Wow. I feel bad for OP. Why is he getting so upset?
I don't know. This is very strange. It feels like he is kind of like was feeling maybe self-conscious about how much affection he was showing, or was pulling back for some other reason,
Mm-hmm.
and now maybe is feeling guilty and now is like projecting that on to OP.
Yeah. There's this thing called like a shame screen,
Mm-hmm.
which is essentially when like a situation comes that shame comes up, there's a screen and like other parts of us step in to try to block that screen, or excuse me, block the shame, and oftentimes it like can come off in aggression.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's what's happening. He's like getting
Yeah.
this big trigger and like he's like, oh no, and then
It's
like
like, you think that I don't love blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
interesting. So it felt really dehumanizing. Please enlighten me if there are other words to describe the feeling, but for now, this is the best I could describe it. It makes me feel sad because I can never just stare at him crying without having my heart crushed at the sight. It always ruins me whenever he cries. I expressed this and he said, you want everyone to be soft
Oh
like
my
you.
God.
So now he's just explicitly shaming her
Yeah.
for her emotions.
Well, I mean, it went from she asked in a bad way to him being like, you're just being influenced by TikTok couples and you're like, you're soft, and just attacking her and yelling at her.
Yeah. So he went from like being upset that she was
Yeah.
attacking him to now like very
Full
much
on
attacking
attacking.
her.
Mm-hmm.
I expressed this and he said, you want everyone to be soft like you. I'm expressing my feelings. Who else am I supposed to express my feelings to? If I told my sister, you'd be angry. So who else do I express my feelings to? You want me to stop expressing my feelings.
Mm.
I'm expressing my feelings and you're scared? Do you expect me to baby you when I'm upset and be like, oh, baby, it's okay. I know you're sorry.
Oh my God. That was just really, he really did not handle that well.
It went
At all.
from 0 to a
Yeah.
trillion.
Yeah. It went from like, oh, she like shouldn't have said that, to like, oh, whoa, this guy is crazy.
Yeah. I think so many people make this mistake of like thinking expressing my feelings is getting upset at someone.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between owning emotion of like,
Yeah.
I'm feeling really angry right now, rather than like accusing someone and attacking them
Mhm.
and like projecting your anger on them and making them wrong. There's a
Yeah.
big difference in like, I'm just feeling really angry right now.
Yeah.
So when it was just me feeling really overwhelmed and scared, I felt like he was being seen for only my mistake and that he's forgotten that he is talking to his girlfriend who just wants to talk with no intention to argue and to just make things better. It also does not help when he said, I'm standing up for myself and my feelings, when I asked him why he is speaking so aggressively.
You
I
don't
told
have
him-
to be aggressive to stand up for yourself. That actually makes it worse.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the story. I told him there is no need for hostility and I am here to listen to him and give him what he needs. It felt like a bigger barrier was built between us when he said that. In my desperate attempt to get him to understand that I grew up in an environment where forgiveness was taught as a good thing, I told him how I used to get into heated arguments with my mother and how we would always make up in the end, where my mother would try to get to the root of the problem and ask me if she has done anything that contributed to me doing what upset her. That's sweet.
It sounds like OP grew up in a nice household,
Yeah.
and maybe he grew up in a household where it wasn't super big on communication.
Or just where there was no space for, probably where he was attacked a lot.
Yeah.
Because if he's being so triggered by her,
Yeah.
expressing upsetness about something,
Mhm.
and then he gets all aggressive,
Yeah.
it's probably, he didn't have any room for like healthy communication. So, all right. We would always hear each other out, reach an understanding, and forgive. My mother never forgets to address the root issue that caused me to act in a certain way. My boyfriend kept asking me things like, did you hear your mom out? Did you apologize to her, in a really hostile way? And I had to, at a point, remind him that he was not there and should not speak on my behalf, especially when I am telling the truth. I was simply trying to get his understanding. Is this like other circumstances other than this? Because now she's like throwing her mom in here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
Unsure.
However, with my boyfriend, he gets really angry at how I address the issue, despite me already genuinely apologizing and owning up to my mistake, and explodes about how I said things but would never address the root problem, which was what I was trying to express to him in the first place. The most recent argument. Okay, so now we're going general.
Yeah.
Here.
General arguments.
At first, it started with
never
like
turn out well.
yeah, this very specific about affection and him getting aggressive, and now she's going generally to how he communicates in conflict in the whole relationship.
Which doesn't seem good.
The most recent argument we had was just last night. We both had long days, and so we ended up calling each other at 2:30 a.m. in the morning. I was a little sensitive and cranky as I just woke up and missed him a lot, and he pointed this out, which I apologized to him right away. A few minutes later passed, and I realized that he didn't video call me. He would usually just voice call me, and I would turn it into a video call. Realizing that I'm the only one always doing that, I switched the call to video call and said, I'm always the one video calling, but you always just voice call. And he exploded at this, once again telling me I'm accusing him of something huge. I explained to him that I was not trying to, and that I just wanted for once to feel like he always wants to video call me too. I never intended for it to be serious or deep, and I was not even that upset. I told him all of this, and he was still talking very angrily. I once again desperately tried to tell him that I was sorry and that I hear him owning up to my mistake and explaining to him where I was coming from.
Now it just feels like anytime OP brings up anything, he just lashes out.
It seems like the pattern is when OP's need isn't being met, she turns it into an accusation.
Yeah.
But it not like a huge accusation, but it's just
like,
kind of
hey,
phrased a little accusatory. Yeah. And then it seems like that very much triggers him, and then he launches into anger and then attacking.
Which is unhealthy, and I don't know how much longevity this relationship has.
Yeah, if not addressed,
continue to do that.
It seems like this pattern is just going to keep on going.
Yeah, to the point where he's making her cry every time.
Yeah.
They have a conversation.
There's no point. If you can't change how he's going to react every time, I would get out.
I think there's room to like go to a meta level and like, hey, I love you. I want to have a healthy relationship with you.
But only if they can have that conversation, which I don't think
a lot of people can't.
Do you think he's going to lash out then and then?
Yeah, I think she's going to be like, oh, I want to like have a better conversation.
Oh, I know, I love you.
Yeah.
I think if it's possibly phrased in a way like, I love you, I want to have a healthy relationship with you, and I'm noticing this pattern, I'm doing this, and it seems like this is what happens on your end.
Yeah.
How can we go around creating a different pattern?
Based on the story, I think you would react poorly.
Sure.
But we can read more and see if anything changes.
Yeah. All right. So the space just did not feel safe anymore, and I could feel my hands getting really cold from being fearful. I don't really remember what was being said because it's only the afternoon after, and I'm still shaken by it. But whenever I was trying to tell him things, he would accuse me of things that aren't true. I point this out, and he tells me that it's not the same because I accuse him of worse things. You accused me of not video calling you. I desperately tried to tell him that I'm on his side and that I just want the conversation to be conducive, efficient, kind, and loving, where we are talking to be better and to improve. He kept going. Sometimes I feel like he holds a lot of resentment towards me, and it just feels really bad because they are for things I have learned from, and he would suddenly bring it up in a related conversation and tell me he has been putting up with it when I always tell him to come forward to me if I've done anything that upset him. Instead of acknowledging this, he got upset because I said, I didn't like that you let me hurt you repeatedly. Because I don't like that you let me hurt you repeatedly. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. Neither of these people are very good at communicating.
I would agree. Yeah.
Do you think that's the root of why he's getting so aggressive? Like, it's just the communication?
I think it's on both ends.
It's on both ends. It's like, it's so bad that like maybe he's just getting so like aggressive because it's like so upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no one, I mean, you should never.
I mean, I'm not defending it at all.
No, I get it.
I mean, we're getting OP's context inside of the story. We don't know how the conversations are going.
But it seems like they're both bad at communication.
It's frustrating me.
And every time that they try to communicate, it's this constant cycle of the OP, says something, like asks for something in a bad way, like
in an accusatory way.
An accusatory way. He starts yelling, and then she starts crying.
Yeah.
And then he starts yelling at her for crying.
Attacked for her being hurt by him yelling.
It's just like a screaming match of like...
Yeah.
It's like...
And that's bad.
So, yeah, it seems like good communication is not happening from any parties, but it seems like he's not to make a bad guy, but it seems like he's doing way more harm.
Yeah.
By acting so aggressive, and especially for a woman to receive aggression and anger.
It's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It is really taking a toll on me mentally as I am just trying to have conversations that are really constructive and loving. I realize that there is nothing to say at this point because everything I say will not be understood or listened to openly and will be deflected. I just told him I do not want to talk at this moment and want to only talk when we are both talking with the intention to improve and not argue. He kept going, but I just stayed quiet. My hands got colder and colder, but I just stayed quiet because I knew that nothing could have been said anymore last night. He stopped eventually.
Ugh.
I hope she just didn't stand there and just let her
Ugh,
partner
let him yell at
and
her?
attack her. I hope that's not what happened.
This is not a good relationship.
He used to just let me sleep upset or when we're not in good terms, and I expressed to him, and he promised he wouldn't let me sleep like that anymore, and I will only sleep once we have established that we will get back to the issue kindly and after reassuring that we love each other. Well, last night I asked him if he loves me. To this, he said, "Why can't you tell me you love me? Do you love me?" I told him, "I do. I'm sorry," crying at this point. I just wanted to ask for reassurance as the environment felt unsafe. I felt so helpless. I asked him for reassurance that when we revisit the situation, it will be a kind, loving, and understanding situation. He told me I was going around in a loop. I asked him to please just answer the question, and he answered with a tone where he sounded frustrated and just answered to make me stop so he could sleep. Okay, another factor that's going on is that OP seems to be sensitive, and I'm not saying that in a negative sense at all.
It does seem like OP needs a lot of reassurance. It seems like she's very anxious in her attachment style.
Yes.
Like, I need a lot of physical affection. I need you to video call me, or otherwise you're not.
I want to be
in
verbally
love with
reassured.
Me. Yeah.
And we're not making that wrong. We're just saying it
It's
seems
just-
like she has a big need for that.
Yeah.
And it seems like at this point, her partner can't meet that need.
It doesn't want
to. And
actively
doesn't have
thinks
the
it's
capacity
like,
to. Makes it wrong.
Actively thinks it's wrong.
Yeah.
To
And
do
that point, it's dangerous territory when our needs are made to be wrong by our partners.
Yeah.
Okay, I told him, I know you need silence and I could give it to you. I'm just asking for reassurance before that. And he told me, I think you need silence. No, she doesn't.
She specifically said what she needed. She's telling you.
She needs reassurance. When I just wanted reassurance. I'm truly tired of being talked to and treated this way. He is valid for being upset, but it's so hard for him to forgive and understand. He has a hard time believing me when I tell him my perspective. He always tells me that the circumstances I grew up in and had known are wrong whenever I tell him that we are both different people who grew up differently. I always feel looked down upon whenever he does this. It hurts because I'm always down to listen to him and to understand him. He tells me why he thinks I did certain things and will stand on his assumption even though I've explained myself. I'm just sad. I'm torn between feeling like he is valid and he has the right to express his feelings with me and not giving him a permit to talk and treat me however he likes whenever he is upset, especially when I have shown nothing but support for him and us. If you want support in your life, you could join us live on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile.
Tap it.
So there's another relevant update, but let's discuss. I feel like we've discussed.
I think at this point, there's nowhere like this relationship is over.
Yeah.
I think they've reached a standstill. OP is an immovable object, and her boyfriend is a unstoppable force, and they keep going in different directions.
DRED04, their love languages and conflict resolutions class.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great, I think that's exactly it.
Yes. And also, I think it goes beyond communication in the sense that when our needs are made to be wrong by our partners, it is dangerous and it is damaging and very wounding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like not even that their love language is just different. It's that they actively are saying that the other one is like incorrect for having that type of love language.
Well, it seems like he's harming her a lot with
Yeah.
the way he's communicating and
Absolutely.
saying like,
I mean, she's
oh,
crying every time they have a conversation.
you're just too sensitive and you need too much reassurance and all these things. That's so
Yeah.
damaging to
Yeah.
someone.
It's like, if that's how you think, then why are you in this relationship?
Yeah. Okay. He texted me this morning asking to talk about the situation later and apologized.
Okay.
Surprising. As he thinks he overreacted last night because he was already feeling dense prior to us talking.
Defensive, maybe.
Defensiveness. Prior to us talking on the phone, as he had a lot going on in his day. But I don't want to feel like this anymore. I need advice and I want to go into the conversation later, knowing what I want to say and what I can improve. Please help me. Thank you so much for reading this far. It's frowny face.
Frowny face.
Frowny.
I think going into the conversation.
I would ask you, OP,
Yeah.
like, do you think there's a possibility where you guys could adapt your communication in order for you both to feel good in the relationship? Or if it feels like that is like too big of a goal, and like just being realistic with yourself and the state of your relationship thus far, like, could you ever get to that point
Yeah.
with the way you guys interact? And you might have to be honest with yourself, and it might be, no, we can't get there. And it's
Mhm.
not really, faulting anyone. It's just maybe reality.
You guys are just too different.
And so
friends.
it might need to be something that you reflect on before going into the conversation of, do you think there's even a repair here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a possibility for repair?
Mm-hmm. Can either of you change?
Or just adapt your
Adapt.
communication style?
That's true.
Yeah.
But that's the end of that story.